again, Kim Brown, and we're going to continue our Sacristan training, talking about some of the names of the liturgical items that we use in the chapel. So I'm going to just kind of start going through an order, and we'll see what order that is. So we'll start with, I guess, what we see behind us. So this is known as the processional crucifix. This is the crucifix that you see that the altar server can lift and carry. They will use this at the introductory rites. They will also use this at concluding rites. You'll also see sometimes the altar server will use this when they go, if there's a group that's coming forward with the gifts during the Eucharist, the altar server will bring the processional crucifix to the back, and then they will lead the people up with the gift. So it depends on where you're at, what's being celebrated. But that's the processional crucifix. Real important when you bring it into the chapel. It should always be turned so that the corpus, Jesus Christ, is facing the people, not that he's turned in some wonky position. So that's something you want to pay attention to. In addition to the processional crucifix, we also have processional candles. Now, this is typically, you see two people side by side when they walk down with the processional candles. We just had these made here at the Christian Renewal Center. So they have a glass globe. What this does is this prevents it from, blowing out real easy. But still, the person that's carrying the processional candles, they want to be mindful. The two people together want to make sure that they're holding them at the same height. As well as you want to walk slow enough so that this doesn't somehow go so fast that it blows out or it falls off the top of the stick, okay? These are processional candles. You see these at introductory rites. You see these at concluding rites. You will also see these used for the gospel reading. So the altar servers go up and they stand, the light of Christ being the light of the world, and they stand as the gospel is being read. So one person standing here, the ambo with the deacon or priest doing the gospel reading here, and then the candle on the other side. So processional candles. While we're talking about candles, let's talk about the other candles that we'll see in the church. Right here next to me, you see a very massive candle. This is known as the Paschal candle, the Easter candle. This is lit during a new candle churches will get during the Easter Vigil Mass. And the Easter candle will be lit for all liturgy during the Easter season. The Paschal candle is lit. Now, it's also lit at parishes for baptisms and funerals. As a retreat center, we're not the typical place for administration of sacraments such as baptism and funerals. So because of that, we don't typically light the Paschal candle, but you'll see that at your parish for baptisms and funerals. Other candles we can see. Now, this is where it gets heavy, but I'm going to lift it up for you. This is known as an altar candle. This is one that's a floor mount. There's also altar candles that you can have that's set on the altar. So the altar candles, during the celebration of Mass, we're always to have candles lit when the liturgy is being celebrated, during Liturgy of the Hours and Liturgy of the Mass. Also, when we're doing exposition of the Blessed Sacrament, we put the monstrance. How about that? I just happen to have one right here. When we put the monstrance on the altar, the candles should be lit, okay? So it's recognizing the presence of Christ is what those candles do. So the altar candles, you would have at least two, one on each side. Sometimes you can see 4, sometimes you can see 6 altar candles. So once again, you have those altar candles. And so you have the stand, whether it's on the floor or on the table. Then you have the actual candle itself. Then you have the candle topper. There's all different types of candle toppers. This is the one that I personally like with the lip like that because it does the better job of, I think, letting the wax go down evenly. So with our altar candles, we see those there. Now, the other candles we have in the chapel, very important candle, the tabernacle candle. They come in all different shapes and sizes, but the altar candle, so here at the Retreat Center, this one we use in our chapel because the chapel, the main chapel, the Blessed Sacrament comes when just groups are celebrating and using the chapel for liturgy. The larger one, it's a 14-day one. We use this in our meditation chapel where the Blessed Sacrament is kept permanently here at the CRC. So we have a 14-day candle that we light there. We have the smaller ones for when the groups are here on the weekends. It's a cost-saving thing. You can go either way. Then you will also, with your tabernacle candle, it's always traditional to have it in a red globe. So the candle is there and then a red globe slides over it so that it looks like a red light. You see the red light, Jesus is in the tabernacle. Here at the CRC, because we have 2 chapels with 2 tabernacles, when groups are celebrating using the chapels, Jesus is in both tabernacles, the Blessed Sacrament. But when he's not in a tabernacle, what we do, one, you blow up the candle because he's not present. We also take the candle out of the glass globe, so it's very obvious he's not there. We also then, just to make sure everybody doesn't think, oh no, they messed up, we leave the tabernacle door wide open with the key inside it so everybody can see Jesus is not there. Now, if Jesus is in the tabernacle, we don't leave the key out because we don't want just anybody to come and be able to take Jesus or to access him or to do anything disrespectful. So the tabernacle key is then put in a secure location. So those are the tabernacle candles. As a good measure, we're going to keep moving on here. So there's two types of books that you'll be seeing used. Now, most of our parishes, including us here at the Christian Renewal Center, we have these books in both English and Spanish. So the first book that's used for the celebration of Mass is known as the Missal. The Roman Missal specifically will have the readings that the priest will do. Not the readings, I apologize. It will have the verbiage, the wording that the priest does. So you go to the week. So if it's the first week in ordinary time, he'll go to the first week in ordinary time, and there's the opening prayer he's to say. There's a specific wording that he will say at different parts of the Mass. If it's the first week of Lent, he goes to the first week of Lent, second week of Lent, third week of Lent, and so on. There's also for the high solemnities or feast days, he can go and do special readings for that. It also has the prayers for the Eucharist, as well as all the parts of the Mass pretty much that the priest says, with the exception of the Gospel is in the Missal. Once again, there's going to be one in English and one in Spanish or whatever language your parish has. In addition to the Missal, we also have the lectionaries. Now, there's different lectionaries. So the lectionary has all the readings for the Mass. Now, the lectionaries, once again, they're in each language. So there's here at the Retreat Center, we have an English set and a Spanish set. And then the lectionaries will be divided in different books. So this lectionary that I have, you see that it says the lectionary for Sunday Mass. So this is all the readings for Sunday Mass for all 3 years of the cycle. So the A cycle, the B cycle, the C cycle. All the Sunday readings in English are in this book. We also have one for the different lectionary then for the daily readings for the different years of the cycle. Now, here at the Retreat Center, we don't have a book of the Gospels, but you probably see this at your parish. Usually the deacon will carry it in when they do the opening introductory rites with the procession. So we don't have a book of the gospel. So in our lectionaries, the gospel reading is there. But you'll see at parishes, they will have a gospel book. If anybody wants to buy us one, they're usually like a couple $1,000s for the fancy ones. No? Okay. All right. So those are the books that you're going to have at Mass. So beforehand, you always want to make sure your readings are open and they're set. They're prepared for the priest. Some priests will have the Missal kind of at the altar, and some priests will have the Missal over by their presider chair. So as you get to know the different clergy, you'll know where to place it. So we're going to keep moving on some other liturgical items. Fun fact, holy water. Not recommending a brand. Pretty much what we do, you can have holy water in any container, it's a sealed container. So this, we just literally can take the gallon jug, have the priest do the blessing, or we can go from some of the parishes and get the holy water for our retreat center since we don't have priests here on site. So you just have it in a special container, and then you're going to use that to fill the holy water fonts in your chapels. As a good, hygiene practice, I change those on a weekly basis. Now, there's certain times a year where the priest will go around and he will bless the people, sprinkle the people with the holy water. This is done using what's called a sprinkler. So usually there's a pot and a sprinkler. And so this is a sprinkler where it dips in, the water gets filled up in here, and then the priest will throw it. So there's all different types of sprinklers that we have. So this is one. This is also a sprinkler, and the water actually goes in where the water would be filled in this part. And then it comes out this part. I also have a traveling mass kit for a priest. This is like a sick call set, and this is a little baby sprinkler. So, this is the priest that wants to have fun sprinkling somebody, and this is the priest that's like, okay, we'll be nice. Your hair looks really good today. Just joking. All right, so other things that are used at a Mass. So we talked in another video about being an extraordinary minister of Holy Communion. So there's different chalices. The chalices are pretty much the cups, and there's all different types of chalices, right? So the chalice is where the wine, the precious blood of Christ will be, okay? So it's important that we have sacred vessels. Now, the sacred vessels are only used for the liturgy. So Kim's having a dinner party. She doesn't say, oh, I have really beautiful gold wine glasses. No. This is only used for the sacred liturgy, okay? And so it's important that we make sure that these things are set apart for special liturgy. So there's different types of chalices where the precious blood of Christ will go. There's also different types of ciboriums. In the last video I showed you, We have ciboriums that we have lids. That's what we typically use just in case the group's going to put any in the tabernacle at the end of their mass. Once again, they'll consume it before they leave. But there's also ciboriums that are open like this with the bowls. And so this can be very common that you see at parishes. One of the things you have to be mindful of is the weight, because these can get heavy. And so, if you're an extraordinary minister of Holy Communion, you need to make sure that you're able to do it safely. If this is too heavy or it's too wide that you're not able to have a secure grasp on it, this is maybe a ministry that you shouldn't do. Or, if your parish has a different ciborium that you could hold, right, you want to be able to do that. But if you think you might drop it, if you're not able to hold it securely, then this shouldn't be something you do, because we don't want to drop Jesus just so we can all participate in this way. Because once again, it's extraordinary. Not all of us need to be able to participate in this way. And I would love it if we had enough clergy that none of us were able to participate in this way, because we had enough priests. Sometimes when I'm in Europe, I actually see where you have the priests celebrating mass, but then at communion time, they have other priests that come out to do the distribution. Other things that we have in the chapel. I've already pulled out a monstrance. And so there's a monstrance. So exposition of the Blessed Sacrament is when Jesus Christ is exposed in the monstrance. The word adoration is actually used when we go to adore Christ, but he's in the tabernacle. So the tabernacle, the gold shiny, I didn't pull one of those out, but the tabernacle, the gold shiny box, usually, made of a solid material construction. The word tabernacle means the meeting place, the tent, the dwelling place of God. So God comes and makes his tent among his people. And so any of the Blessed Sacrament after Mass that has not been consumed will be placed in the chapel. Here at the Retreat Center, what we do is we have the Blessed Sacrament. One of these is consecrated during Mass, and then it's placed inside the Luna. The Luna is this little device that then during exposition will slide into the monstrance, and then it will be out for all to see. So every week we have our groups replenish the Blessed Sacrament based on what Cardinal DiNardo has asked us to do with that. So the monstrance is the big whole thing. It can be gold, silver, usually see jewels. And then the Luna is where the Blessed Sacrament actually goes into. I'm about to sneeze, so I apologize if that happens. So we're going to keep going because I'm not sneezing now that I just called attention to it. So in the last video I talked, but let's just make sure, since we're covering liturgical items, there's specific wine that is for communion. So you need to make sure you pick up communion wine. You don't just get any type of wine. There's also all different types of hosts that you can use. The small hosts are what we have for individuals. We also have then the Latin size host. This is what goes in the Luna. This is also what we use here at the Retreat Center for the priests to consecrate. Some priests at your parish may be like a much larger host. If you notice that somehow you're running out of hosts, you can break them. As the extraordinary minister of Holy Communion, we want to make sure everybody is able to receive. So you can break the host to make sure that everybody is able to receive. Other items that we have the paten. This is the plate where the host that the priest is going to consecrate is located on. We also have the linens that we see, the 4 types of linens I'll cover. The finger towel doesn't come in contact with the precious body of Christ. This is what the priest used to dry his hands after washing them. We have the purificator. This comes in contact with the precious blood of Christ. This is what the extraordinary minister of Holy Communion, the person with the chalice, will use to wipe the chalice. We have the corporal that gets laid out on the altar. And this is to catch any pieces of Christ that fall. We have the pall, and this one's firm. There's actually a hard kind of little cardboard substance that goes in it. And this is what initially, with the paten and the bread, will be placed on top so it doesn't just crush it and break it before you come to Mass. And then when Mass is then being celebrated, the pall gets placed over the chalice to avoid any flies from falling into it. So we see that. The other cloth that I don't have here, but it's on the altar, that's the altar cloth. And so the altar is dressed in an altar cloth in a simple linen. Another thing that you'll see in chapels is the thurible. So the thurible is here. So there's a device that allows you right here. You're able to lift this up. When you lift this up, this exposes the base. This is where the charcoal will go. There's charcoal that you have. This is a brand new packet of them. And so all these companies should give me money, shouldn't they? So pretty much you have the charcoal, you put it in, you light it, and then you're going to close it. And this just closes by this piece here sliding down. Then there's different types of incense. And so this is incense, and it gets put in what's called a boat. And so there's a little boat here with a little spoon, and that's where the incense is. This is where the charcoal is burning. That's what the hot thing is. So then the altar server will come and lift this. The priest will normally take the incense. The altar server comes over with the incense. They will then put the incense on top of the charcoal, which is what gives the sweet smell. They then close it, and then they do the blessings, right? And when I say blessings, really it's symbolizing our prayers going to heaven, and we're purifying what we are about to do. So they go around, that's why they purify the altar, the crucifix. It's this concept of our prayers rising to heaven. That's why then you see them go to the priest and they do the priest, and then they come and they do all the lay people. That's when we all stand, we bow, the incense, we bow again, right? So and then we see the incense as it rises up. Here at the retreat center, we're not a cathedral, which means we don't have a real high ceiling, and all places now have smoke detectors. So you have to be mindful when you're using incense for what space you're utilizing. Our meditation chapel is way too small, so incense is not able to be used in our meditation chapel. In our larger chapel, it can be used, but we have specific protocols on how to use it. Because if you start it in the sacristy, the ceiling is as low as my office, which will set off the smoke detector. So because of that, we actually have them start the charcoal outside, and then they only bring in the thurible when they're incensing. If they're not incensing, they leave it outside, because otherwise the smoke just keeps rising up. Now in cathedrals, you'll see they'll have a stand where it stays the whole time just with the smoke rising up. But here at our retreat center, we're not able to do that since we don't have the high ceiling. It will set off the smoke detector. Smoke detector sets off. We need to evacuate the building. The fire department has to come out. Kind of ruins the sacred liturgy. So we want to be mindful of that. Last things that I'll kind of call attention to, well, not last things, there's going to be a couple other. We have the cruets. I've already said in the last video, one, you place wine in one, water in the other. The water that goes in this is just ordinary water. It's not holy water. We also have the lavabo, the bowl. That's where the priest puts his hand over and he washes his hair, and he might have water drips it in, to clean his hands. It's a ritual signifying cleaning his hands. His hands aren't going to be like, oh, he washed his hands 36 seconds kind of thing. So those are some of the things that we see inside the chapel that we have. Now, what they're wearing, I didn't bring over the fashion show, but pretty much for getting dressed at Mass. So you'll see altar servers. There's different types of outfits that altar servers can wear. The ones that we have here at the retreat center, they're the white albs, and then they wear the cinture around their waist. The cinture is that rope-like belt. That's what we have our altar servers wear, because the other outfits for altar servers are a little bit out of our budget. The priest and deacon, so they're wearing their normal clothes, and then they wear an alb, and then they wear a vestment. The vestment that they're wearing for the priest is called a chasuble, and the one that the deacon is wearing is called a dogmatic. Now, I know I don't say that word accurately, so it's spelled D-A-L. I know you hear me saying dog. It's Dow, a Dowmatic. So just be mindful. Sometimes the words I say, it's my speech problem. What will happen is the deacon will put on his alb, the white linen cloth, the white robe underneath. Then he puts on the sash. Now, the deacon sash, you'll notice, if you ever just see the deacon with the alb, how you can tell the difference between a deacon and priest at a new place. The one that's going diagonal, that's a deacon. The priest, his stole is going long. So the deacon stole goes diagonal. The priest stole wraps around the neck and then comes down long. Then they put on their outer vestment, right? This is the dogmatic and the chasuble. The dogmatic is where the sleeves are kind of closed in. So it's kind of like it's sewn up and closed in here. That's a deacon. The priest, on the other hand, his is like more like a poncho in the sense that it's open here, right? So those are some of the ways you can tell the difference between a deacon and a priest. Those are some of the vestments we have. Then we have all different color vestments based on the liturgical time of the year. So there's a calendar you can look at, and the calendar will tell you what is today. So is it ordinary time? If it's ordinary time, we know we're in green vestments. If it's during Lent, we're in purple vestments, Lent and Advent, with the exception on that one Sunday when we wear the rose color vestment, not pink. When we celebrate Pentecost or martyrs, we're in red vestments. When we have high solemnities, we're in white vestments, such as the season of Christmas or the season of Easter. But then that's the general time frame. But then there can be times throughout the year that we have special feast days. So in ordinary time, if we're celebrating a high feast day, such as the Assumption of Mary, well, you're not in green for ordinary time, you're in white because the solemnity trumps the ordinary time outfit. Same thing's true. Also say we're in ordinary time, but there's a martyr. Well, we wear red for the martyr. It trumps wearing, so there's different times. So there's calendars that are published. Usually churches give them away free. Usually funeral homes sponsor them each year. And in that calendar, it will show the color options you have. Now, if it shows that there's 2 color options that day, what that means is it's kind of your personal preference. So you have the option to do this one or this one. And so you want to check with your priest who's celebrating Mass, because he's probably prepared his homilies based on a specific one. So if he's planning on talking about the martyr, you don't want to pull out the ordinary time readings. You want to make sure to have the specific readings for that Mass. So those are some of the liturgical items you're going to be using in the church. Our next video is going to get a little bit more into the sacristan, but hopefully that gave you a big overview of all the various items in the chapel and that you'll be using for the celebration of liturgy for Mass. God bless.